Welcome to the FiberBase webinar series. This is Brent Lassing. This is from a fiberoptic.com feature. If for some reason you have trouble hearing or seeing the screen, please send something in the questions section on the bottom of your dashboard there. And if you have any questions during the show, feel free to put your questions down there and we'll answer them. If I see them during the presentation, I'll answer them during the presentation. Otherwise, we'll answer them at the end. So, just kind of a notice of what the upcoming webinars are. Next Wednesday, we're going to have importing structures. Today, the webinar will be on reports. And then the last Wednesday of the month, which is 28th, will be an open session or a mailbag session. You can send questions that you want to have answered with mailbag in the subject line to FiberBase@fiberoptic.com. When we answer the questions on that day, we'll answer the email questions first, and then any questions that come up in the webinar, we'll answer them afterwards. The December webinars, if you have any suggestions of things that you'd like to see, how to do them, send requests or topics by November 19th to FiberBase@fiberoptic.com. So today's webinar is on reports. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show how to load a report that was previously created in Explorer and kind of show you how you would use it. Then I'm going to create one using the Finder, and then finally show in the connection workspace a different kind of report that you can use for your Splice trace to show connections and stuff. So, okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show a conductor list report. And so what I've done is I've selected a structure over on the left-hand side in the Explorer. I'm in the Explorer view. And on the right-hand side, I've selected conductor list over on the right-hand side. And on some of your screens, you might not have the conductor list available as a tab yet. In order to get the tabs to show, what I usually do is I go to the Info tab, and then I select Preferences. And then under Tabs, it lists all the different tabs that you can have showing. And what you want to have is you want to have the conductor list showing. So to move something over, you can take, for example, this Related tab. If I want to move it back, I can just hit this Move Back arrow. If I want to move it back into the list, I can just hit Move it into the list. And it'll show up in the order that you've selected them here. So we're going to choose conductor list. And currently what's showing is at the top you have the regions that you used in order to get down to this structure. So we're in Pennsylvania first, which is the top region here. And then the secondary region or subregion is Philadelphia. And then last, need to be at that structure, so I'm going to this again. And we're at this structure here, Buena Vista in Tweak 9. So we're going to choose conductor list here. And then what I'm going to do is, currently, this is just showing you the default view for the conductor list. So these are all the conductors that are in this structure here, this Buena Vista. I'm going to then load a report for this. First, I'm going to select something over on the right-hand side and then choose Load Report. I'm just going to choose this Demo Conductor List. So basically what this is showing you is the status of each of the fibers, and then it's showing you basically a topology of how that fiber is connected. So the fiber itself, I don't know if this is too complicated to start or not. The fiber itself is in the center of the report. So you've got your sheath name here, your binder name, it's sequenced within the sheath, and then the name of the fiber here. On the left-hand side, it's showing you the structure that's connected on the left side, and on the right side of that is the structure on the right side. If I scroll over further to the left, it's going to show you the far end structure of what that fiber is connected to. And so that's the end structure, the end sheath, end binder, and conductor. To look at it in a topology view, I'm going to bring up the information palette, and then I'm going to select one of these. Let's just take this one, for example. So this is showing a selection here. So the structure at one end is right here at the central office. So if you look on our list here, the end structure here is the central office, and then it shows you going up until where the signal is being split out. It can't go through splitters unless you have a transport set up on there, so it doesn't know which fiber to track it on. So it'll only go to where the fibers are connected end to end. And this one here is, for example, it's at pad 101 Shasta. And so you look over here, it's in structure 2, which is this one here, pad 101 Shasta Court. Okay, so basically you're looking at the one fiber then, and then it's 2 end connections. So that's what this conductor list report is going to show. In order to get the report out, there's 2 different ways that you can do it. You can either print the report, or else you can save it as exported out to a CSV file, which you can use something like Excel to look at. I'm going to show you how you'd set it up for printing first. So you'd look in the report definition, and you'll notice that the tabs here correspond to the different items that are showing in the list here. So you've got your regions, your structures, your conductors, and then on the far end, you've got your headings. So let's look a little bit at the conductor attributes and see where I've pulled those different items from. So here on the right-hand side, you have a list of all the different columns that are showing. So for example, I picked status, and then you'll notice that it's got like end structure 1 name. Those are coming from the calculated attributes. And for conductors, you have all these different calculated attributes. Basically, they're queries that are run in order to find that item. So the end structure 1 name is right here, for example, and then you can see the end binder name and conductor name. So you take all those out, items that you want to have in your report. The next thing that you can do for your printed reports is you can set up your page decorations. So here's a heading that you can put onto your report. Here's your page number, and it tells you where on the page it's going to show. So the page number is going to show on the footer left. I've got a prefix for showing the report date. So this would be the date that the report was run. I'm going to show that at footer right. The company that it is running from, and then some footing text that will show up. So then when I actually run the report, I can set it up so that it's going to either show portrait or landscape. Let's just choose landscape view, and I'm going to save that item to the report, and then I'm going to print the report, and I'm going to print it to something that creates basically HTML so that I can view it on screen. You wouldn't be able to see the paper copy, of course. So sending it there, and I'm going to send it to this junk webinar one. We'll just call it today, and I'm going to choose the type XPS. Hit save, creates the report, and now bring over the browser. And here's the today XPS, and so I can just double click on it, and you can see here's the heading that I put on, here's the region and its columns, the page number. You'll notice on the page that it'll have like 1A. The second one is 2A, so they're basically going horizontally across, and have 1B. Let's just skip 1A in there. Oh, so it's 1A, 2A, then 1B, 2B. And then here's the report date that we did, and then and Conductor. So of course you can run that out and put it to a printer or a PDF file or however you'd like to do that. The other thing that you could do is, if you're looking at this, you can export it out as a CSV file. So to export it as a CSV file, I click File, Export, and then for some CSV files, you might not want to export the headers. We're going to export the headers and the keys just so that you can see all the data that's available. So I save that then, and just call it today again, but it'll be a CSV file this time. And when we look at the folder, there's your today.csv. I double click on it. Here's all the different files that we have. In order to expand the columns, you can click on this upper left-hand column here, hold down the Alt key, double click on it, then it spreads them out so that you can see all the different data. So here's your central sheath that you're looking at, and then the binder, the sequence, and the name of the FiberBase supporter and that conductor. The top few rows were the regions and the structure that we were looking at. I say that. The next thing that you can do is, once you have this conductor list report set up, you can also use it on other sheets or sheet segments, either way. And so here's a conductor list again, and then I can, so this is looking at the default view, and I can load that report again, and then load the same type of data for a sheet segment. So you can get the conductor list report on any place that you can get a conductor list to show. To show you how you'd create one, I'm going to create one in the binder. And so let's just create one for sheet segments. And with the sheet segment or any of the ones in the binder, you can also go into the Advanced tab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick all the sheet segments that are leased to somebody. and I'm just going to say all the ones that are not null. So that means that all the ones that are leased to somebody, same as is not null. Hit query, and these are all the sheet segments that are leased to somebody. You can tell that this is not enough data to be able to help you. It just tells you the sheet segment, but it doesn't tell you what it's leased to. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new report. Finish. And then I'm going to edit the report definition. So here, let's say that you want to show the sheet segment name, which is already listed, and you want to show the start and end structure. So structure 1 name, structure 2 name, who it's leased to, so that'd be the business name. And then just to give you show you where some of this other information is, for example, you could show the number of conductors inside of that sheet. And let's say that you want to show, these are some things that were added in the last release. The sheet segment orientation, so they show how the sheet segment is coming into that structure. And it asks if I want to save those changes. I'll just hit yes. So here's all the sheet segment names again. Here's the start and end structures. Here's who it's leased to. And then here's the sheet seg orientation of how it's coming in. So that'd be your different sheet segments. The last thing that I'd like to show you then, so that's how you would create your report. You can go ahead and if you also want to create your headers, you can put in text in there for the headers, the page numbers, and things like of that sort as well. The last thing that I'd like to show you is a conductor list report. I mean, Splice tray report. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a table inside of the map here, and then just take one of the structures. You know, I think it might be easier just to go and take an existing snapshot. So let's say that I wanted to get a report of this splice tray here, the one that I've got expanded out. You'll notice one thing is that, of course, this one is expanded, and when I do my selection, I'm going to select the fibers as well as the port. So I've selected those fibers on these ports within the tray and those fibers. So that's what I'm going to get the report on. I'm going to do an export on that. So I'm going to export the selected ports as a CSV file. And we're going to go to today connected. Hit save. Now when I look at the file in, here's today connected report that I just made. I'm going to do the same thing that I did before, is I select everything in there, hold down the Alt key, and double click on the column separator. And what you're looking at here is this is a splice tray here that we had selected. On the left side is showing the fiber that's connected on the left side or the back side, and then this would be showing the right side or what's connected on the front side of the splice tray. If you didn't have any connections, it'd say not connected here in this column here. So it shows you whether or not it's connected. And then it's showing you the sheath name, the binder name, what the conductor name is, its sequence within the cable or the sheath, and then it's structure 1 and 2 names on that cable. The same thing on the left side. It shows you the structure 1 and 2, the sheath, the binder name, the conductor name, and its sequence. The way that I set that up, now you can show any splice tray data that you want. I thought this makes a lot of sense for showing the information for what fiber is connected to that tray, but you might have some other information that you'd like to show as well. The way I picked that information is under tooltips. Notice that you can save tooltips now. So you can save that just like you do your reports, and you can save your tooltips to be how you want them exported. So I'm going to edit the tooltips here, and it's showing for your tooltips, it's showing on your conductors, so that'd be your left and right side. It's showing you its structure 1 and 2 names, the sequence, the name, binder, and the sheath. And then on the ports, it's just showing you the path. What a path shows you, let's look back at that again. It shows you the region, any subregions that it's in, the structure name, the splice tray that it's in, and then finally the port or the chip that it's connected at. So that gives me all the information that I wanted to show for the splice tray. If I wanted to show any other information like whether or not it's leased to somebody, if it's active, what its current status is, those kinds of things, or any transports that I have currently riding on that port, you'd be able to show that as well. Just for an example where you'd pick the transports would be under calculated attributes for the port, you can pick transport names, and that would show you the path as well as the transport names when you exported it out. So that kind of gives you an idea of some of the reports that you can set up fairly easily within FiberBase. If you have any questions, feel free to ask those. I'll wait for just a couple minutes, and then if there's not any questions, we'll close this webinar. Okay, it looks like there's no questions today. If you have any questions that you'd like me to answer later, feel free to send them to fiberbase@fiberoptic.com, and I'll answer them either if they're a straightforward question that I can answer via email, I'll answer it via email. Otherwise, I'll answer it in the open session mailbag. If you want it in the mailbag, for sure, just put in mailbag in the subject line, and that's where I'll show it up. So I want to thank you again for attending this webinar. The next webinar will be a live demo of importing structures, and that'll be November 14th. A lot of people use GPS units, and they want to know how to take that GPS data and then be able to import it into FiberBase and create structures out of it. So to give you an example of how you can do that and how you can set it up next week. Again, if you have any unanswered questions, feel free to send it to fiberbase@fiberoptic.com. Thank you very much. Next session is going to be, the last section, open session will be November 28th.